to the weekly VGS podcast here on February 5th, 2016. We've got a few guests here in studio with us today. Why don't you go around and say your names here?
Ryan Millett.
Greg Giles, I'm not a guest, though.
Ingrid Seckenbridger.
So we got a few people that have been playing a lot of games recently that have some stuff they want to get off their chest, so we're just going to get right into it.
Here's what pisses me off.
You know what grinds my gears?
There's a few big launches recently, namely The Witness and XCOM 2 just came out today, I think, or yesterday.
The Witness came out a week ago, and XCOM 2 came out today.
Right, so a lot of controversy around The Witness, I hear, just in the way that generally people are approaching it, but I have not yet played it myself, so I'm interested to see what you guys think about it.
So yeah, you have, I think you have twice the time I've played. I have like 16 hours in it.
I'm about 20 hours in.
Yeah, and I have probably about half that.
But a lot of that is staring at a piece of paper or staring off into space and contemplating my life.
Does that game make you do that, though?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Only because you think you're smart.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, yeah, I just did 10 puzzles in a row, whatever. And then you get to this 11th one, you stare at it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you're like, I should walk away.
Yeah.
So it's like game development.
Well, actually, I had tweeted this the other day. The thing it reminds me of is like learning to program, and programming in general. It's just like like game development. It's like I'm the best in the world and I'm awesome, and then it's just like, man, I really fucking suck at this.
Everything's
like
falling
every
apart.
time, over and over without fail. That keeps happening in The Witness to me, and like
it's like it's a constant like cycling of like excitement and frustration and. Not like necessarily a bad kind of frustration, but definitely the game takes a lot of brain power. Like if I had a long day, I'm not going to unwind playing The Witness. Like it's an activity,
which sucks too, because it's an easy game to jump into and play for a little bit of time.
It does it better than any other game.
Yeah,
you just turn it on. It's like an SNES game. You just you're just there. You just turn it on. And you're just where you were.
Yeah, it puts you exactly where you were. Like, it's saving all the time. It's great on that.
So there's no main menu or like loading.
No,
it just
the
drops you into the
when
game.
the game starts, it starts like that. You just are in a hall and you're just there.
And that's where you turned it off last night, you know. And that part is great. But it is so mentally exhausting half the time that it's like, I just can't do that right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that like intimidating? Like, I feel like the game is kind of like intimidating people. And we were talking about this the other day about, I was talking about Chrono Trigger, and Chris was saying that he had never played it, and he's like, I know it's a classic, I know I should go back and play it, but I'm probably never going to, because it seems like it would be a chore. And I'm like, it's totally not a chore. It's great. It's one of the best games ever made. But it's like, actually, people say that a lot with like older stuff and books and movies in general. Like, so you think about like, I've never seen Schindler's List. Like, you're not going to be like, I'm going to go home from work and wind down watch Schindler's List.
That's what I do.
I mean, it seems like...
I don't know what's wrong with you, man.
It seems like it would be like, people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's a chore.
Yeah.
It sounds like work. I don't want to do that. I want to watch a dumb comic book thing instead.
This is not that. Like, actually, I will say The Witness, probably more than any other game, is, like, the closest thing I've seen... It's the new champion, at least, of being the most literary sort of like experience where you really are trying to extract meaning out of everything. Like every moment to moment thing could be a metaphor. Like it's just everywhere in there, and it comes together and like these metaphors stack on each other to bigger picture things. And it's more of an enriching experience than almost any other game is. If it can be very off-putting, but if it's not off-putting to you, it can also be really like actually make you think about pretty deeply about some important stuff and things you probably wouldn't think about normally.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the idea around it is that it can be intimidating, but when you're playing it, you certainly don't feel that way. Like when you're in it, it's a very inviting place to be.
Yeah, it's really colorful, and like all the zones are just these very like adventurous feeling, sort of like almost like being in Disney World, where you just like are in this themed area that just feels. I mean, every part of it, the detail of design is deep.
It's
like,
incredible.
Yeah.
Like the craziest thing about it too, I know, like if I'm able to walk to a place and it's really hard to say this for a lot of games. Like, if I'm able to go somewhere, I know there's a reason that I should. Like, you can just be like, oh, there's this weird rock ledge over here, I guess I can walk on it. And then you go there, and then you just see something just crazy, and you're like, ah, yes, like, I was supposed to go here. Like, there's no dead ends, ever. Like, there's always just something to look at.
That's not true. You mean logical dead ends or spatial dead ends?
Spatial.
There's one. There's a couple, I found. There's one down by the... Whatever, we'll talk about.
No, because, like...
Down by the river?
I found that...
Well, it's on an island, so...
Yeah.
Or a giant river, maybe.
Oh, there's a waterfall, like, in the middle.
It is interesting just in the sense that you talk about, like, the detail and the aesthetics of the game and how it can kind of be off-putting and whatnot, because the artistic presentation of the game from the trailers and clips that I've seen, not having played it, seem very colorful and bright and clean and kind of inviting, and seems like it's kind of a nice place to spend some time and wind down. But I guess the game doesn't really engage you like that. It's not... You're not just sitting there on the beach, like, watching the sun go by.
No. You're solving intense logic puzzles. Like, it's serious. It's like... All right. I'll say before we go on any further, I think the joy of The Witness, that what's fun about it is knowing as little as you can about it and then just playing it, and then just sort of letting it unfold. So that said, from here on out, I'm just going to talk about it openly, and not, if you want to play it, don't listen to, skip ahead to whatever.
How do I skip ahead?
Get out of the way.
Well, you don't play games, so it's cool.
Oh, damn it.
Unless you're making The Witness.
I'll never do that. It took him like 7 years.
The way it works is there are patterns in the world that I wouldn't say they're quite disguised, but they're not obvious. So what you do with these puzzles is the puzzles are basically like lightweight mazes, usually with symbols in the pathway. And depending on what symbols are there, what color they are, is how you get from the start of the maze to the end. You have to split all the, you have to hit all the diamonds on there. So you have to figure out a path that doesn't intersect on itself and hits all the diamonds, and then you go out. And that's just like an example, sort of every puzzle is a variation on that style. It gets really weird and goes a lot of different ways, but that's the gist of the game experience, and that is you're solving these brain problems, I guess. So what'll happen is you'll walk into an area and you'll see the one I just finished was entirely based on how the shadows fell on the panel. So you don't realize, because there's shadows everywhere in the world. So you walk up to this panel and you're just like, there's shadows on it, but your brain just doesn't register because there's shadows on it. It's filtered that out. So you're just standing there like, what the fuck is the puzzle here? Like, what? You're like looking around for colors and stuff, and then you realize that, I don't know. Actually, the way it happened was I quit, and then when I came back, I sat down and I immediately saw it. And I was just like, oh, shadows. And
that's the best thing you can do half the time.
Really, the best thing you can do to beat the game is to stop playing.
Yeah.
It actually works
your brain, it'll put it together, at least in your perspective when you come back, and
again,
it helps so much.
Just like game dev, programming in general.
Yep.
We used to in college, we used to call it getting the fresh eye, where it was, if you got stuck on a problem, the worst thing you can do is just keep banging your head against it, because you just make you keep making the same mistakes over and over again.
Which
you go outside, get some fresh air, walk around a little bit, you come back into the lab, and it's staring you in the face like, oh, obviously,
that's
what I'm supposed to do.
Really nice about this game too is that you can always just walk away and go somewhere else. Like, you can pretty much walk in a different direction, and you'll eventually find something new. There's like 700 something puzzles in the game at least, I think. So it's crazy.
Yeah, because it's not. It's not a big island. It's not a huge island, but I feel like the time I'll take to get through it will be immense. But about the that realization thing, that's the whole point of the game, and that's kind of the stuff it does that makes it really special, I think. Is the point of that game is for you to see that, almost, I think Jonathan Blow intended for you to just walk away from a puzzle and physically quit the game, come back to the game, see it instantly, and then reflect on that very experience. And that's what I think most of The Witness is doing. That may not be what he meant at all by that. That could just be a thing that happened, I don't know.
He's like, oh, that's how you play? Oh, I guess.
Right,
never saw that in playtesting.
But I feel like that is what the game is doing, and it leads you to those things in ways that you don't see coming all the time, even though you kind of know what the game is about. It is really about epiphany. I mean, that's what Jonathan Blow said the game was about all this time. He's like, it's about epiphany, and I think it is.
I didn't actually hear that.
Oh yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
That's what he says the game is about, and I think it is. And I think at first the game will really hold your hand, but then it just kicks you out the door. Like it just says like it builds up, it helps you understand, and then it opens up, and you're on your own, and you're just like I don't even know what to do here.
It's also really good at that. It's really good at just teaching you like how to understand things, like especially like puzzles wise, like when you're first getting into it. Just it helps you understand the rules, and then it'll just you hit the last one in a board or something, and just totally flips it all on its head, and then you're stuck there for an hour. Yeah. But you know the rules, like you know what you need to do. It's just you don't always see how you need to apply that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean that's true, and I think that's like the greatest and worst thing about the game is that it's sort of in a way flawed because it's predicated on being stuck. Like everybody's bitching about being stuck, but it's like that's kind of where you have to come from to get anything out of this game, on that level. I mean, you could just do the puzzles and fuck it and probably have a good time too, though.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like since it's kind of really about epiphany and understanding the language of the world to kind of put together what the next spot is, I've heard people talk about how, you get dropped in the game, it's kind of very clearly presented. You're like, oh, I get this. I'm the smartest man alive.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh, epiphany, Jonathan Blow.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, shit, get the pen and paper.
Yeah.
Like,
Did I tell you that I literally had to get the pen and paper out the other day?
No, but he just mentioned it.
Yeah,
before.
So I heard so many people using pen and paper. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do that. And
I could do this all in my head.
I got through at least 9 or 10 hours, I think, and then
that's
finally,
that's about it.
Finally, I was just like, fuck this. Like, I am getting out pen and paper.
It does a lot of it is pattern recognition, and then once you recognize the pattern, then the puzzles become flipping the patterns in different ways. Mm-hmm. So you may have solved a puzzle, but the next puzzle could be that thing mirrored 2 different ways, and you're just like, how the fuck did that last puzzle go? Where did I turn? Like, where was that thing? And then, so you have to kind of write it down, and then you look at it on paper and maybe spin it around yourself. It helps you do it. But if you're just going straight from memory,
yeah.
So what do you say to people who said that the game basically boils down to a pretty island with snake puzzles on it?
They're wrong.
I think there's as much there as you want there to be. If that's all you're there for, that it literally is that. But I think if you play it slowly and deliberately and let it happen, it's more than the sum of its parts for sure.
Yeah, I assume that people with that mentality really aren't going to finish the game.
No.
Probably.
I don't even know if I will, dude. It's fucking hard.
Do you know how many you've completed so far?
I finished the, Asian zone.
Was that with, the temple?
I don't know. No, not with, bamboo and stuff. It's on the water. It's actually, so when it opens up and you're in that garden, if you go left, you walk down to this, boathouse. And then all the puzzles, I think, they're the ones where you get 2 nodes, and then the nodes are symmetrical.
Okay, yeah.
And that whole zone is that, and it's got these Chinese gates that lead up, so you unlock them, and then it does the thing where the camera comes up and it shoots the laser.
Like the little beacon thing.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah. That's the only one I think I've solved completely. I'm almost done with the orange leaf area, which is the shadow one. That last puzzle I can't.
I can tell you I haven't done any shadow ones yet. I've heard of shadow puzzles, but I don't think I've hit any.
Okay. What about you? So how many puzzles would you say you got through?
I'm a little over 200, I think. I'm at 220 or so. Do you know how to check that?
No.
If you pause and go to load game, it says how many you've done. So I'm over 200. I have 2 beacons and close to a third. But then I made that mistake yesterday of staring at something too long. There's did you see the building with the flowers in it and stuff?
Yeah, that's where I am right now. That's the zone I'm trying to, where it's up on the wall. Wait, what are you talking about?
There's a place with a bunch of flowers in it, and
on the ground.
Huh?
On the ground?
No, they're on tables and stuff. It's in a building, and there's colored glass and everything, and.
I don't know.
Yeah, the puzzles are color based. completely. But there's
Yeah,
a trick to them, of course, as there always is. And
here's my other question: have you ever figured out the trick and just been like, "Oh, come on! Like, how was I supposed to guess that?" Or, like, just kind of been really sort of annoyed at, like, it kind of asked you to do something that wasn't reasonable?
Not yet, but when I did explain one to my girlfriend, she was just like, how the fuck did you figure that out? Like, what made you think to do that? Because that was completely a perspective one where, like, I had to look through things and whatever it blocked off, like, put the puzzle there.
Yeah. Is that not the shore one with the rocks in the water? No. Okay. Yeah,
no, this one's like a tree growing through like a temple. This has like a tree growing through a house or something like that. That's a temple. That's why.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, but I'm so stuck on that last one. Yeah,
spoiling each other.
So you guys are both stuck.
I can split a bunch.
Hopelessly incompetent, where you can't possibly figure these puzzles out.
Did you find any boxes with special things inside of them? I'm being vague on purpose here.
Sounds sexy.
They have answers in them to a thing.
The tapes.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are that's another thing.
That I did not.
And so in the debate of is this game pretentious art garbage, whatever, that is the probably biggest crime or offense.
Oh wait, no, we're talking about something different.
Okay, maybe.
Okay. Tape is multiple things. All right, I know. All right, audio logs you're talking about, right?
The audio logs.
Yeah. Okay.
And it'll just be quotes. It'll be like 2-minute quote from like Albert Einstein about God. Everything's about like God.
Maybe that's the epiphany. So that's what I related to when you brought that up. I had never heard that. So
yeah.
But now it's starting to relate that to those things because at first I'm like there's a lot about God, but it also kind of doesn't really fit together in a lot of ways. I felt
I'm like,
different. What the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
But maybe that's part of that, and then kind of the other goings on the island could point to that too.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it comes together. Once you start putting a lot of puzzles together and you finish them, like, how it unfolds.
I really hope it delivers because, right now I'm kind of, at least, even just thematically, I'm a little bit lost.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, by the end, I'm like, okay, I get it.
He did promise, basically, that those who engage with the game fully, go through the experience and solve all the puzzles, will get concrete answers. He's like, it's not like... he's like, I'm not doing this thing where there's no ending and, what just happened and everybody what does the ending mean? Everybody needs to interpret it for themselves. He's like, no, if you find everything and you do everything, you will get very specific answers to what this is all about.
Okay. All right. Good, that's good to know because, again, what makes this... There's a lot of mystery in this game that gives it a nice charged atmosphere, but to answer those questions kind of takes that away, so I didn't know if that would be done. So that's good to know.
Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of a master course in game design, but then it's really upsetting a lot of people who don't want to have that experience in this kind of current culture of... I want it now. Give me the next thing now. I want a very clear path. I want to be able to, cast a spell to see exactly where my next waypoint is. And if it's not holding your hand and telling you exactly where to go, or freely giving up the answers to the next area, people are throwing down the game in frustration and saying it's garbage.
From that as you can get in game design.
Literally none.
I can't think of anything that touches it.
Yeah. Which is, that in itself is just insane to me, but it's really cool.
It's risky. It's clear. Like I said to you the other day, I understand why this game took so long because it's about everything it does is a step ahead of you. So they have to know how you're going to, what you're going to try, and where to take you, and that just takes a ridiculous amount of playtesting.
I'm sure they iterated it forever, and the order or potential order of puzzles, and especially not making it linear or anything like that. Who knows what people are going to do next, and if they go into this area and when they haven't been to this other area yet, what are they going to think? They're not going to be able to do anything, or are they just going to get frustrated and give up? And it sounds like at a certain point, from what I'm hearing from you guys, he's kind of like, well, some people are going to get frustrated and give up. This isn't for them.
Definitely.
But that's a risk to take when somebody's already dropped $40 on your game, and then they can't progress through it. In one of the previous broadcasts, we talked about how a lot of modern games tend to be easier specifically because they put so much into them. They want the gamer to be able to experience all the content that they've actually created. You don't want to spend $10 million on all these crazy art assets and have them be so hard to reach that nobody ever sees them. So they make the game so really they're all about getting through and experience all this stuff instead of putting up walls that players can't get through.
Yeah, right. It's that. That's what makes it interesting is because most games don't try so hard to keep you from seeing stuff. You're exactly right. It's the opposite. They want to show you all the stuff, but this game doesn't give a fuck if you see it. It doesn't.
Well, I'm sure they really want you to.
They do,
but they're not serving it up. They're making you earn your.
They're not going to give it
answers.
to you for free.
Everything is extremely intentional, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
Always.
Well,
that's kind of what I was getting at when I said like there are no dead ends. Like if you get to a place,
I agree with that.
Yeah, if you get to a place and
or maybe
you feel
it's not a dead end that I got.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
If you feel like it's a dead end, it's probably not. Honestly, there's different ways to interact with the world as you go on, and it gets interesting. So there are definitely surprises in that game.
Definitely sounds like
something
something
halfway through.
I really want to try out.
That's pretty good.
But just time. It's hard. It sounds like it takes a lot of time.
You gotta have a lot of time for it. Really, it's because you gotta keep it going. Like, you gotta remember what you were doing and where you were coming from. And
oh man, I don't even want to talk about how many games like I've gone so far into, and then like I don't want to turn them back on because I don't have the model in my head anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like we talked about Invisible Ink, and I've got that one team that's ready to do the last mission on the hardest difficulty. I know I can't do it now. I'd have to go back and run like a whole other team just to get my memory back of what I'm doing, because I feel like I'd go in there and I'd just be stumbling around like a newbie.
Yeah, and you blow the whole thing.
I'd give up my spot.
It only takes one wrong move in that game. For the
whole thing to just crumble down.
Yes.
Firing up a role-playing game like Skyrim or something, and you fire it back up and be like, what do these buttons do? Where am I? Why did I come in here again? I don't know. What was I doing? This seemed important before, and now I don't know what's going on.
I don't care about any of this.
Another thing that I found as I've gone on to, and even somewhat related to that, with the don't take a break, obviously, but just like programming and such, as well, as you go further and further, you get a little better at understanding how things work together.
Because you start to see how the game is thinking.
Yeah.
So then once you start to understand that, it speeds up.
Yeah. Like now when I approach a puzzle, I'm like, okay, I kind of know what I need to look for.
Right.
I already know certain rules, and also I just look around and I'm like, oh, this is what it's trying to tell me.
Exactly. Right. You kind of know how to break down the patterns in the world around you, because it explains, like I said, it just explains what you're supposed to do in very subtle ways through the environment. So you might not realize that like the stone pathway you've been walking around on for a half hour is actually the solution to the maze.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I mean. Okay,
now I got it. Oh my god, that actually could be a thing.
You just only have to do that puzzle.
Yeah, you just kill the witness in one hit.
You just kill it in one hit. It works every time.
I heard it really opens up when you get the plasma rifle. But,
yeah.
I haven't found it yet. I'm still looking. That actually... You gave me an idea for a puzzle I'm stuck on, I'm not going to lie.
All right.
Yes. Epiphany.
There it is.
All right. So that's a good capper on the witness for now. I'd like to talk about this again maybe next week, and as you guys have gotten a little bit farther, if you're like, I'm stuck, or I'm irretrievably lost, fuck this game, the pretentious bullshit, or it's, oh, this is amazing, I finally see what they were going for, and it all comes together. It made me see the world in a new way. This is an artistic piece that everyone should experience. It's probably somewhere in between.
Really good. Yeah. I don't know that yeah.
So, speaking of games that you walk away from for too long and forget how they work, I did that to XCOM, the original one. And I hear you played the new one.
Yeah, I played a lot of the first one, and John, you did too. Like hundreds of hours.
I never played it that long, but I played the full campaign. I beat the game.
Yeah.
And I started another set on a harder difficulty, and I played a bunch of missions and whatnot. But I never.
You did Iron Man mode too, right?
I did not.
You never did Iron Man.
Never did Iron Man mode. I kind of had self-imposed rules that I played by, where very early on, one of my best characters died, and
Yeah.
I was about to reload the game,
Yeah.
and I said, nah,
Yeah.
I'm going to go with this.
Right.
And so I didn't have Iron Man turned on, per se.
But you kind of.
But anytime I lost a character, anytime I started a mission, I played it to its completion.
Yeah.
And I didn't quit because my best character died or whatever.
That's definitely fair because that game wasn't designed to be played as Iron Man as its main mode, and you can make some mistakes that aren't really your fault, and really fuck your whole game up if you're not careful, even if you are careful.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make it a perfect through. I lost like Canada or something like that.
Yeah, we don't.
The Canadian in the room is upset. Sorry.
Yeah, you died to aliens.
You should be sorry.
Wasn't my fault. I tried as hard as I could. They took out my satellite. There's nothing I could do about it. I lost. They didn't have trust in my leadership abilities after that.
I'm sorry,
And
Canada did that to you.
But still, one of my best soldiers was Canadian, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, I kind of had self-imposed rules after I did that, and I felt like that led to some of the best stuff that happened in the game, where I walked away with stories of like, this guy went down like this, and like this happened, and I just barely got out. Whereas, maybe if I wasn't doing that, I could have just quit and reloaded. And it's like, oh, that sucked. I missed that one shot and reload this level. And so that's part of the reason why I didn't play it through like just straight up on classic difficulty Iron Man right out the get-go. Is like, I don't want this to be arbitrarily hard. I don't want this to be like, I'm now, instead of getting a 99% chance out on a hit, I get like a 50% chance I shot on the hit. It's like, it's gonna mess with me enough as it is. But I'm gonna roll with the punches.
It's not hard though at all on classic Iron Man. It is very hard, but like, and you're definitely at a disadvantage. But it's not like, well, with some exceptions.
Anyway, so how does this relate to the new one?
Yeah. Anyways,
so you like XCOM?
So I like XCOM, and so that I only played a couple hours. It came out literally today. I woke up early, and played an hour, and then when I got into work, I got everything kind of set up, and then sat down to play another hour. It pretty much picks up where the last one left off. Like, you start with a lot of the stuff that you only got in the late game in the last one. So, for instance, like the sniper ability which is squad sight, which lets the sniper shoot at anybody. If anybody in your squad can see a guy and he's not obstructed from the sniper, your sniper can shoot him no matter how far he is. And that's a really important ability that you didn't get till late game in the first one, but it's the very first one you get in this one. So that's what I mean. Across the board in the systems, it seems to be like that. Everything you kind of ended up with in the first one is like the first thing you get in this one. It's way harder.
Oh no!
I spilled my coat. I couldn't try and go.
Right on his phone.
I'm laying my soul bare. My coat. It's way harder. You have to play way riskier, but it's sort of the changes they made necessitate that. For instance, I think you can evac anywhere now. You can just kind of mark your evacuation zone. So like evacuation zone. So if you don't have to run all the way back to the beginning, if your squad's there, you just say, pick us up right here, right now, and everybody can run into the thing and get out. So in that way, like, that's a lot less risk overall, right? I
feel like it's also kind of a smart decision. I felt like that was a chore sometimes in the other one, where especially once you cleared an area, just let me go. Why do I have to take 5 turns running back to my ship?
Right. Yeah.
Just let it be over. I'm trying to go to sleep. But yeah, and I also heard that you kind of have the initiative in this one, whereas in the other one, it was, if people don't know, it's turn-based in the sense that you have your squad, and then there's enemies on the map, and the game works where you move everybody in your squad, they all do everything, you use up all your actions, and then the enemies do all of their actions, and then it's you do all of yours, all of theirs. It's not mixing. So you do all of your stuff, and then they do theirs. But in the other one, they were kind of out in the fog doing their stuff. But I hear in this one, it's kind of you're the aggressor.
Yeah.
So they don't know you're there until you
Right.
make your presence known.
I mean, it's the difference between classic military strategy and guerrilla warfare. It really is that. That's the exact dynamic difference. Is instead of marching across a field with your team, you're springing an ambush in like a dense area and trying. When you set yourself, you get a little bit of time to set yourself up to get the advantage, and sort of kick off the stuff so they're not quite ready. And then, you just kind of fall into a normal battle pattern after that. But it is like, that's the difference between those two.
So when you spring the first shot on the enemies, did they have a chance to react, or do they have to wait till their turn?
Right. Let's see.
So say there's 5 guys in a field, and you surround them, and you snipe one of them.
Then
Will the other ones run to cover?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they'll like call out like, oh, they're over there, and then anybody within earshot will.
And you can run in with shotguns.
Yeah. Or swords, because there's melee in this one now.
Ooh.
Which is.
Which he was like, I don't know if I get this melee. It's kind of weak. And then I saw him run up and kill a guy in one shot. I'm like, look pretty good.
Swords make everything
Well, the
better.
first time I ever used it, I just ran up to a guy and just katanaed him in the chest, but it only took half his health. So then and it was the first time I'd ever used it. So I was like, okay, that was a huge risk, and now my guy's just standing there, and he did less damage than he would have done with a gun. Okay.
Well, that's why you hate it, because you made a bad move.
What? Wait, what?
I'm just kidding.
He was saying, whatever.
Swords are cool, man. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Well, man, I'm with you now. That's.
So I like the idea of actually being able to set an ambush with the added
It's so satisfying.
with the added
It's really
difficulty
cool.
being able to kind of move around and get in position before they just start charging at you. Or one of the most dangerous things that happened in the previous XCOM was somebody comes out of the fog and takes out someone. Right,
Yeah.
so it's like there's somebody you haven't uncovered on the map yet. When the enemy's turn is, all the people you know move, and then surprise, another guy comes running out of the fog and like shoots somebody in the back. You have no idea that they were even there.
That's kind of what's another problem that the ambush system solves is
Because you can kind of scope your scene before you...
And it really flags where they are. Like, it flags all of their vision. So like, every single tile has a mark with a huge red sign that says, like, they can see here. So there's no ambiguity about it. So you know exactly what they can see. So it's, I think it squashes that problem pretty well because you really know where everybody... You won't even be able to see the guys, but you can see their vision marked down. So you're like, oh, there are guys over there because I can see where they can see, even though you...
No, I get it. Visible Ink did the same thing with cameras and guards. You could see if there was a spot that was being perceived.
Right, exactly.
Whether you could see who was perceiving it or not.
Exactly like that. What else? There's so much that's different, and it all seems like really good. They fix a lot of problems that I didn't really think. Things I had just long accepted in the first one, and I wasn't thinking, oh, they should do this differently. It was just sort of like that's just how that game works. It's a very core component, but there's a lot of stuff that's, like I said, like I had kind of taken for granted and not really evaluated or criticized in my own mind that they're doing completely differently in this game, which is really good. That's why.
And one would hope putting out a sequel, they would learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Especially with the general feeling about sequels these days.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, that they are not good.
Well, with the yearly rehashes, they kind of take a beating.
Well, people definitely with like Assassin's Creed and stuff, that's getting super saturated. Yeah.
I hear they're not doing one this year. At least that's the rumor.
I need to cool it, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Thankfully. I haven't even played the last several.
I haven't played one since... I played like the first hour of Revelation, and I haven't played any of them since then.
I never liked that series.
I definitely enjoyed the series up until I kind of got bored of it. They started trying to do too much, I feel. The last one, Revelation, had a tower defense mechanic in it.
Yeah, that was really weird.
You're kind of controlling an army defending a base, but just straight up by issuing units on a grid to defend a spot, just like straight up tower defense.
Yeah.
It was that's not what this game is about. This game is about like jumping off a building and stabbing 2 guys in the back of the head and throwing their bodies in a hay bale.
Yeah, they lost
and,
that.
And it's like, what's this about? Like, but they were trying. I get what they were trying to do because I'll give them credit for one thing, which I always kind of like the idea of aging a character. Assassin's Creed 2, you play Ezio Auditore he's the guy in the Italian Renaissance. Basically, you play him as a teenager who doesn't know shit, and then in the second one, you're all the stuff that you learned in the first one. It carries you play him as kind of an adult man, probably in his late 30s. Who really knows who he is and what he's doing, and he's much more capable and a much like more mature character.
He's not figuring anything out.
No, he knows he knows who he is in his place in the
just
world.
like that game did too. Brotherhood was really good.
And Brotherhood, I thought Brotherhood was the best of the series that I played anyway.
Yeah.
But I guess there's newer ones that is very different. And in Revelations, you actually play him kind of as an old man, who's really like the leader of the assassins now. And so they tried to make it so you feel more like a general. You're leading this organization, so you're not the guy out in the field, cutting throats anymore. You're controlling an army. You're the guy in charge as like the old man in charge. And it's like that's cool from a story standpoint, but from a gameplay standpoint, like I couldn't care less. So it's a tough thing to do. I appreciate that they tried it, but it wasn't for me. Whatever. Yeah, and I lost interest in that game.
In fairness to that too, a lot of people complain about the tower defense. I played through that entire game. I only had to do it twice, I think.
Really? Because you have to do it in like the first hour.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, is this going to happen all the time?
Yeah,
oh, no.
I did the tutorial, and I think I did it once more because if I recall correctly, I believe what triggered it was you had your territories, and if what are the bad guys called?
Templars.
Yeah, if the Templars. It's been a while. Started like creeping in too much, then you had to like push them back, and that's when it would initiate like that you needed to do that. But if you like kept certain things maintained, I think it was okay. But like, so that didn't bother me that much about that game.
That reminds me of just Fallout 4, the Preston Garvey. Like, this settlement is under attack, and everybody's. I remember when it first came out, and it kind of became a meme where. Everybody was just like, enough. Like, my settlements are always under attack. Yeah. Stop sending me messages. All my settlements are always under attack. And I was kind of like, that's not happening to me. What's going on? And I was like, well, every time I had a settlement in that game, I would just totally load it up with machine guns and rocket launchers and stuff. And if you have enough defense, nobody bothers attacking you because they'll just get wiped out by your defenses. So like, everybody needs to start just building more defenses. Stop being babies. But then I also found out that most people didn't have all the resources that I had been kind of amassing as a hoarder, and also I had
they weren't checking every drawer.
I also had all the perks that would break things down into valuable items, where you can get tons of screws and like all these really hard to get like items like screws and adhesives and all that. I had all the perks that made it really easy for me to get tons of those. Nice. So I always had. Anytime I wanted to build something, I had more than enough materials to build whatever the hell I wanted, and I always just spent that on machine guns and stuff.
Spent all my money on guns.
And, building up build their defenses and, like, food and water and all that kind of crap.
I did none of that, and I was annoyed that it was even in that game.
But I saw people build, like, castles and stuff, and I'm kind of like, whatever. What I used those to do is I had a couple of places in the game that would they had massive, like, industrial scale, like, water purification plants. And a few places that were basically like farms, and they had them all sharing resources, and I didn't have to bother with like whatever. Like nobody was out of food, nobody's out of water, and they all had defense. And so I never got all these messages. I'm like, what's everybody talking about? You're seeing all these memes popping up, like Jack Torrance coming through the door, like your settlement's under attack. Like not now, Preston. People are making all these little memes with Preston Garvey's heads popping up out of like whatever, and like interrupting them to go defend the settlement. And I'm like, no.
The other thing you can do is just let them die, and then you don't get any notifications. That was my strategy.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
So sequels.
XCOM 2 is one.
And so is Assassin's Creed, like 8 or whatever they're up to now. I haven't played any of the ones since Revelation. Fallout 4 was a sequel.
I played 3, Assassin's Creed 3, and that really just... I did not like that game.
I played like a second of it.
I never got to be the main character. I actually did play that game for a little bit, but you play as the main character's father.
Yeah.
And for the first hour, something like that. I never even got to the main character because I was playing as dad for the first hour.
Spoiler alert, his dad's way cooler.
The game drops off pretty hard after
it does.
I thought the environment was cool. The fact that it was actually in America in revolutionary time. It seemed
That's
like a
why I
very
thought I
cool
would like it.
environment.
Yeah.
And the fact that it actually had wilderness with like deep snow and woods and trees and stuff with every
It
other
was,
game took place kind of
you
in
know the
urban
what
settings.
the problem is that they do that Animus system. It's like just make a historical game. Why has it got to be a VR simulation of like the fucking
Cutting back-
Revolutionary War? Just
yeah.
have this game be there. You don't need any of that.
Cutting back to Desmond was always a bummer.
I don't know.
That's what-
Desmond is-
That's what I hear is a little better in Black Flag. It's much more strictly just
No.
we're pirates now.
No,
Oh, you
Black
played it?
Flag is worse.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. Okay. I haven't played it, so
Because in Black Flag, you are a video game. You
Oh, yeah.
are a video game developer.
I did hear about this.
This is Assassin's Creed. You're an assassin in the Caribbean, but you're actually a video game developer,
Uh-huh.
and you have to like play these worlds to learn information, and then at the end you have to like rate the world, which is their system. Yeah, dude, it's bad. It's like their system
Jesus.
for like actually getting player feedback, but in the game they say it's like because I don't know, because you're the developer you have to rate it. It doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid.
Hilarious.
So you're constantly being taken out of this world, and you walk around in an office with people, and they're like working on a game, and you're just like, what am I playing right now? Like
I had no idea about any of this. You're not
Oh,
Desmond
yeah.
in this anymore?
No. Oh, well,
I don't know who the fuck you are. But
Desmond
you're
at the end of Revelation, something happened to Desmond?
something happened at the end of 3.
Oh, at the end of 3. Okay.
But,
he got hired at.
yeah.
got hired at Activision.
No, Ubisoft or Ubisoft.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Ubisoft.
Oh, it's.
So, yeah, Black Flag is a thinly veiled day in the life of a Ubisoft
I mean,
dev.
that aside, there is a decent game there inside whatever the fuck that is. Like,
Well, I heard that my brother played it, and he was loving it. And the whole thing was he'd never played any of the other Assassin's Creed games.
Okay.
So by the time I was kind of burnt out by it, I couldn't even be bothered. This was brandy new to him, so
Yeah.
he was all over it. And I heard
see, that's huge. If you came to that game never playing them, and because it's like Assassin, from what I could tell, and no, I mean, I've played these games enough to kind of get a feel. So to me, I think it was like Assassin's Creed 2, gameplay wise, inside Sid Meier's Pirates, basically.
a lot of people said that if you go at that game, if you just give somebody that game, don't tell them it's Assassin's Creed and say it's a pirate game.
Yeah.
People love it.
Yeah.
But if you say it's Assassin's Creed, people are like, "What?"
Yeah.
Even though
Like
it's
it's-
obviously has all the trappings. of
Aside
Assassin's Creed.
from, again, the egregious Animus game development system.
Why do that?
And then they got
I don't know why.
worse with the newer one. What was that?
So then they did Unity, and
Unity.
then that was like in France.
Yeah,
but now there's the new one is in London.
Unity blew up with lots of issues.
They had a lot of bugs.
But they had a lot
Oh,
of stuff
yeah.
too, where you needed to be online to unlock certain chests and stuff. Like there were like
Oh.
you play only chests and stuff. Like they went really overboard.
Yeah,
that
you
kind of
played
stuff.
or Ubisoft is pretty disgusting in general. They're
Yeah.
they're definitely like one of the companies I like the least.
I used to love them so much.
They were
like
fine
between
when they were making Rayman and on Dreamcast or what was them, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
Used to be
Splinter
fun.
Cell.
Yeah, they did the Tom Clancy stuff too.
Yeah.
they had a
with
great
Red Storm.
up until about 4 or 5 years ago. I thought they were a great company.
Yeah, it was
Now
once they started annualizing things that they really just fell down the tube.
It's bad. It's like the worst kind of business.
Yeah.
You know, they just
There's a guy who
It's
just
kinda
recently,
cynical.
I forget his name, but he just recently wrote an article about why he left Ubisoft. And it was literally because of Assassin's Creed and like the repeated cycles of it. And, you know, he talks about how when he came to the company, he was like, you know, fresh-faced new game dev, about to, you know, got the world by the balls, got my dream job, I'm going to make it all happen. And, you know, he had a ton of fun there, and he worked on a bunch of projects. And then he talks about how he worked on a really small project with a very small team, and it was like an experimental in-house game that they, basically the management team came to them to come up with some special, like, new ideas to try some different stuff, and they formed a couple little teams. It was a team of like 5 or 6 people. And he was talking about how that was so amazing and exciting and fun, and they got like it was just like one of the best things where they were play testing the game all the time, trying to come up with new ideas. And then in typical, you know, business is business kind of thing, they're like, well, we're not going to go any farther with this. Like, we're canceling the project, and so we're going to roll all the people that worked on this project into the new Assassin's Creed game or whatever.
Because 8,000 people work on each one.
So, well, they also need to like
put it out
towards
fast.
towards the back end of it, they need more people to finish stuff up. You know, than the initial phases. I think it was on Unity that they got pulled in, and then he got to be one of the lead guys on Syndicate. And how he's talking about how this is like, now he's going to be like one of the higher up guys, and how awesome this is going to be. Now he's kind of like running one of the squads, and how it was cool and all that. And he's kind of proud of all the work that they did, but how it just became a slog, and it just became a chore. And just all the joy and fun that he had when he first got there, or when he was working in a small team with a few people making fun ideas, that was all gone. And
it's just about the money. It's just about putting out, just cashing in every year is all they want to do. They don't care about making a good game. They're trying to.
Well, I mean, I would counter that with much of what this guy said, and you hear it from a lot of the people who actually work on these titles. It's the people who are working on the game are really trying to make as good a best game they could possibly can,
and they're not getting the money. Like, I know that.
They're not getting.
Exactly.
I mean, they're being well compensated,
but they're not getting the money that the guys that are telling them.
They're not getting the profits.
That's
and the marketing,
those are the guys that are doing it.
And the marketing folks and the people who are actually paying the bills coming in and kind of giving notes and basically putting constraints on what they can and can't do to hit certain demographics or hit certain whatever, and it kind of handcuffs a lot of the creative process into kind of rechurning new old stuff. Even though they do add a lot of new systems, they polish old systems, they fix all these old bugs, they make the game overall more stable and bigger, better, faster, and under the hood in all these different ways. But then it comes out and everybody's like, yep, fucking it's 7 instead of 6 now, whatever.
Yeah.
And these guys have been crunching on it for whatever, and that's kind of the general perception. So
it's not rewarding. Everybody hates you when
the game comes out. Still so much. It's not like it's you're retooling the thing, so now this will be easy. Like, they still do a ton of work,
right? Yeah.
And so that's part of the thing. Is like when you're crunching on a game and you're killing yourself to put out this game, but you have no ownership of it. When it's not your idea, it's not your systems, it's not your game. I mean, at the end of the day, you're putting your stamp on it, but you're not really feeling like you have the creative input that creative people really kind of crave, to feel like they're what they're doing is relevant and meaningful.
That's so important in life. Like, you can't.
Well, that's what this guy, and that's why he wrote this article. I wish I could remember his name right now, but it's fairly recent. You should go look it up. It's a pretty good article on Gamasutra, I believe. He posted it, and about why he left Ubisoft and he's going to start his own indie studio, like so many people end up doing once they reach a certain kind of comfortability or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, you have a game developed by a certain amount of people, like, you are going to lose that. It's just pretty much impossible to have some kind of autonomy in that.
Absolutely. And
it's necessary.
Yeah. Any team that size just requires a certain amount of specialization. Like, when you've got a team of 5 or 6, if you've got one guy who's like, I only work on this part of the game, I'm not even going to give you feedback on something else, then that doesn't work. But when you've got a team of 800 and the artist comes in and said, hey, do you guys try this mechanic? All the designers are like, get the fuck out of my office.
Who are you, silly, stupid artist?
You don't even know, like, all the other things that we have taken into account to come up, like, we've answered so many other questions and we came to this this thing that you're questioning because of all this other stuff that I don't have time to explain to you.
Right.
So get out. And that person, and so that dude feels put out, and the other two people feel annoyed that people are questioning their decisions. And it's, at the end of the day, it's like everybody's negative about the same thing, but there's nothing you can do about it because you have to get it done. Yeah, and the only way you can get it done is to have the artists making art and the producers producing and everybody doing what they need to do to kind of pull this massive ship.
And then it comes out and everybody hates it, and
they lay off half the team.
Yeah. So what boggles my mind then, Ubisoft has done some good small games too, though, recently. Like, even just the 2 Rayman games, which Child of Light, Valiant Hearts.
He's talking about how they kind of had that in-house small team where they, he couldn't go into exactly what game that they were making, but it sounds like they were encouraging people to break off into these teams in between projects and to try to come up with new ideas, like
a new moneymaker.
Yeah, well, I mean, you need new IP, and everybody forgets this because it's so far down the line. But when Assassin's Creed 1, the original Assassin's Creed came out, it was new IP.
Yeah,
it was brand new. Nobody had made a game like that before. Exactly. The controls were completely different from every other game. It was a massive risk, and they didn't even quite hit. Assassin's Creed 2 was really... I mean, Assassin's Creed did fine. It didn't do poorly. But if you actually go back and play that game, it's not very good. You could see, there's hints of greatness in it, but it's very repetitive.
At least they kept that part throughout.
It's very repetitive. It's very simple. for what it is. It's really, there's like 3 tasks in the whole game that you just have to keep kind of rinsing and repeating.
Yeah,
until
it's all the
over.
same thing over and over. But you know what? At the time, I loved it.
No,
Like,
At the time, it was great.
I hear consistently that 2 is.
2 is way better.
2 is where they figured out all the mistakes they made with
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
And I feel like Brotherhood is where they hit
It's
their
even
stride,
better, yep.
and it got really good. And then they lost me with Revelations because of the 4th iteration of the series. Like, I feel like I'd already played it so many times. But again, you have people like my brother who come in at Black Flag. They've never played any of the other ones. So like, what is this? This is great. You know, so for the people that are you always forget that there's new gamers coming into this stuff every time. It's
Yeah.
like, why do you put in a new Call of Duty out every year? It was like, well, I played Call of Duty 1 and 2. Like, Call of Duty 2, like 10 years ago, was mind-blowingly good with smoke effects and, you know, smoke bombs and people charging like
That was a
the
long time
lines.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was probably even over 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Probably
I
around-
think so.
I think I was in high school.
And so it was really good. And
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
it's once you've done that, you've played World at War and, you know, Modern Warfare and gone through we had all these experiences.
I loved World at War.
So, and I loved Modern Warfare.
really good.
You know, when the first Modern Warfare came out, it was phenomenal. All Gillied Up is still one of the greatest video game first-person shooter levels ever made. I don't even think you can argue it. It's so awesome. Like, there's so many different phases to that level where you gotta like infiltrate. You gotta take this crazy 3-mile long sniper shot. Then you have to exfil with everybody freaking go blasting at you, and while carrying your wounded buddy to like the spot and like putting up a last stand on like this Ferris wheel type kind of carnival thing as like people are parachuting in around you and whatnot. It's totally bananas. And the first part of that thing has you crawling through a field in a ghillie suit with like weeds over your head, and you can't really see what's going on, but you can hear people searching
That's
for
cool.
you, and like tanks like rolling over, and you have to like crawl around and like sit still.
Flashlights up.
And people like walking by you, and if they step on you, they'll just kill you. Like you have to stay still and like sneak through it. It's brilliantly done, and it's amazing at almost every level.
That's not what that game is.
But that was
Not
Modern
even close
Warfare.
anymore, yeah.
That was Modern Warfare, and that was probably already like the 4th or 5th game
Yeah.
in the series. And by then, I was still loving it, but you know, so now the new Call of Duty comes out, and I don't care. And you got younger people who are like, "Oh, the new Call of Duty's out," and you're like, "You stupid kid." But you don't realize that they didn't play any of those games. This is only like their second Call of Duty,
And the
or
games
like
are
third Call of Duty.
generally getting better, even if they're not different enough to be like, you know, from 3 to 4, it may not be a big change for us, and we may be very disappointed, but it's better. It is oftentimes a better game because the system's refined with some new and better ideas. So, yeah, like they're playing a vastly different experience.
Oh yeah, and if you know, it's always with perception of time, right? If you took Advanced Warfare and dropped it in front of me 10 years ago, like out of the blue, kind of like how Modern Warfare landed, which also has like some really kind of poignant moments that they kind of stuck into a action game, so to speak. Most games didn't kill your main character back then. It's become somewhat rote now, but at the time it was like a major shock to have like this guy that you've been playing gets blasted, and you're like, wait, what? No, I'm good. I did the good stuff, right? Well, the good guy doesn't always win. Tough shit.
Is that at the end it just kills
It
him?
happens a couple times. Actually, in Modern Warfare, there's actually a scene where
dies a few times.
a nuke.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
In Modern Warfare, there's a scene where you have to go into an Iraqi city basically and save a downed chopper pilot,
Sorry,
You're right.
stepped on.
and you get her out of the chopper and you're saving her, and you get her to the jet that's kind of taking off, and a nuke goes off in the city that this other team was supposed to go to try to deal with or whatever, and you're basically in the air when a nuke goes off and you don't get away, and you go down, and there's a whole scene where the Osprey that you're in crashes, and like everybody in the plane is dead except for you, but you can barely move, and you can just kind of crawl, and you can kind of crawl out the back of the Osprey just to kind of see the nuclear shockwave coming at you,
Oh, shit.
and it goes over you, and
Oh.
and that's it, and it's
Oh.
and that's a wrap on that character. That you've played a whole bunch of missions. You played that character through basic training and like all this stuff, and that's a wrap.
Yeah.
And then it goes
So it
on,
moves
and then
on
it goes
to
on,
the
and you play a different character after that. But at the time, it was like, what the fuck just happened? And it's like really kind of it kind of hits you in a way that you wouldn't expect from a game like Call of Duty to hit you.
Yeah, I never played that one.
So it was really
I assume you didn't either.
that was really great. I mean, but now again, even now, I
The
don't.
first one.
The last couple of them, I feel like they kill the main character. People are like, oh, yeah, this guy's gonna die. That's happened already.
It's
Who cares?
It's a post Game of Thrones world that we
Yeah,
live in.
yeah, right, exactly. So I mean,
That happens
they
in XCOM too. Actually, the first two people die in your tutorial.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
you can expect a lot of people to die in that game.
Yeah. Well.
If you-
Yeah, it was just weird because they were like characters. It was very different from XCOM because that's a bad feeling in that game. But I guess that's what we're getting at. Anyways,
yeah. So I mean, we kind of got a little bit off topic here, but
we were talking about XCOM. Yeah,
we were talking about XCOM. But then we were talking about sequels after we talked
I
about
didn't even mean
XCOM.
to
Sequels,
loop back to the
Ubisoft.
topic. I was
Yeah.
still rambling.
That's beautiful. Great work. Nice
Thanks.
segue. A plus.
Yeah. Thanks.
Any other thoughts on XCOM?
I like it.
Cool. It's early.
It's been out for a day. I mean, he still has
Literally like
the
12
new.
hours.
He's still got the new shiny on him. We'll see. We'll see how it wears.
Next week it's like,
I'm
I hate the
confident.
fucking game.
I think I'll play this game for a long time.
All right, so we got a whole bunch of other games too. So I do want to talk about Don't Starve.
Yes.
Before we kind of just keep going down the list of Ryan's impressive game list that he's played in the
And
past few days.
vacation. Got some time off now.
So why don't you guys fill us in with the Don't Starve experience?
Yeah, so Ingrid and I have been playing Don't Starve.
Together, I assume the
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Literally, yeah,
Okay,
it's Don't
yeah.
Starve together.
Yeah,
And
okay.
then, so she plays it quite a bit on her own, and it's a little bit of a different experience, but we've played a bunch together. So you hadn't heard of that game. You found it in a Steam sale? Was that what happened?
Yeah, it was just before Christmas, I think,
Yeah.
and Steam sale, and
You
I
know, the
was
Steam
just
sale started
just
today.
don't.
Don't Starve is on the front page
This-
as well.
She's got them all.
This was my first Steam sale, so I got Don't Starve,
Oh,
Don't Starve
welcome.
together.
She was just doing it. She was buying all these games. Like she was doing like what we do, where
Yeah.
it's like games she knows she'll never play. Or something.
I understand now.
Yeah.
$2? I'd be losing money if I didn't.
Basically.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Glad I'm over that hump.
You're like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. I remember that.
My first Steam sale.
I'll see you at 300.
When I spent
Yeah.
$400 on
Oh, but I'm right
those
next to
same
her doing
app.
the same
You
shit.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You guys are over each other's shoulder. Oh, did you see this one? Did you see this?
Pretty much. So
Um,
yeah, you found it through that.
yeah, and then I mean, even just this a couple days ago, I bought the Shipwrecked beta, so that's what I'm playing right now.
I don't know what Shipwrecked is.
It's basically
Like
yeah,
Wind
it's the
What?
they just add a whole bunch of stuff, and it's a series of islands, so you can build boats and sail to different islands, and then there's differences in resources or biomes.
Well, before we get there,
Sure.
So what is Don't Starve? How do you play that game?
You try not to starve.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to find food.
Yeah, that's step one.
Yeah, build fire, run away from monsters.
Yeah. So it's I mean, I think most people have played this. If you haven't, it's just like a survival crafting game. So you're like in the woods and everything is against you. It's very creepy. It has a great art. The art is really nice. Weird, like muted, sort of almost pop-up book style. And yeah, so it's all about you build a fire so that you don't go insane. And that's another thing. So it has three systems. It has health, sanity, and hunger.
Yeah, and then also in Reign of Giants and Shipwrecked and I guess Don't Starve Together, then there's like water. So if it starts to rain, then your moisture level will
Yeah.
go up, and I haven't quite figured out what happens when you reach a saturation point. But,
He's just kind of bummed out.
I think you just get really unhappy.
Yeah.
And your sanity goes down.
It's
Because you're
cool.
like, my
Those-
shoes are wet.
Yeah, those systems play off each other, and I think it does create some very relatable situations where, yeah, you're wet, so your sanity goes down, and because your sanity is down, like, you're not all, like, you kind of got to focus on that, but then, like, you kind of get hungry because you haven't been looking for food, and then, oh shit, it's dark, it's about to be dark, where am I? I just wandered so far off.
And now the dogs are coming, and I can't
Right.
do anything.
Right, so,
There's dogs.
Some type of wolf type creature that will just come in the middle of the night, and you can't run away because then you leave your fire.
Right.
When you leave your fire, you just like something in the night kills you almost immediately.
Yeah.
A
So-
Gru? It's a Gru.
It's a group. Well, yeah. If you don't bring a match, it kind of is like a group. But what was I going to say?
Did I just derail everybody with Zork talk?
So how is it playing together? How are you getting along there?
I just tell him what to do.
Nice.
And then I don't do it. And then I go, yeah, I was going to do that, but like, do you have any food?
Do you
I've
have
just
any...
been building straw walls already.
Yeah, she's like,
You
what are you
feed
doing?
me.
I'm like, I'm building walls. She's like, those are straw walls of garbage. I'm like, well, I figured they were bad. But she's like, no, they're just, don't eat, just stop doing
This
this.
burrito I made, you can't have it.
So Ingrid is an expert at this game. and
Oh yeah,
you're trying
she's
to
played
learn.
a lot more than me.
Okay.
It's
I
really
have died
her.
so much at this game. I'm really good.
Good.
Can you beat it?
I don't know. There's this system in the game where you're picking up the box thing and the round thing and the ring thing, and I think you can do something with them. I think it might just like send you to another world where you start over. But
That would be.
yeah, that's. I mean, that's basically
What
it.
else are you gonna do though?
Really.
I did hear there's an end game. I thought.
I don't know. I think
You-
I've made it
what's
to
the-
80 days,
And 100 is like the.
I read somewhere the 100 is considered when you reach 100, then like you can say that you're good at this game.
But
And then
you've
you
been
beat it.
mostly playing this game, not reading up on it, or I don't know if that's
Mostly.
changed lately, but
It-
definitely for like a long time, like
It's-
tens of hours at the beginning, you didn't read anything.
Yeah, it's definitely changed a little bit because I'm getting sick of dying at 79 days every single time because I
and
don't
the
know what
game-
this
it,
thing
it
is.
just throws it at you out
Yeah.
of nowhere, right? Yeah, which is a little frustrating.
Why does something happen on that day?
I was talking to a coworker about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, the second time I made it to 70 days." I was like, "Bullshit! You didn't make it to 70 days on the second time." He's like, yeah, every time something happened, I just pause the game and Google it. I was like, "Oh, you can do that."
Dude, like, come on. Yeah,
And
well,
that's when that started.
Google
yeah, you had to take the high
Docs.
road, but then you immediately went to the low road.
Definitely.
after leaving that
I
conversation.
felt really superior for about 30 seconds.
Nice.
Only because you hadn't thought to cheat.
Yeah.
You're actually a better person. You go, "Wait, why am I not cheating hardcore in this game?"
Yeah, so that's another game that really throws you into it. Like
It does, yeah.
you know nothing.
But
when
that's
you
kind of
start
what's
that
good
game.
about it too, right?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, it was really great. Like you die, and it was almost exciting because you're like, "Oh my god, this new thing just happened. I have to start over and
Yeah, I
like,
wanna
get
go
there
see,
again so I
yeah.
can see how to fix it."
Yeah. And like, it's funny looking over your shoulder. Was it you were doing? What was it you were doing? You did something with the beefalo.
I was
you
shaving
had to
them.
You had to shave them. So there are these buffalo.
Ryan almost spit his drink over everywhere.
You have to shave the beefalo.
Yeah.
Good.
I think
I like where this is
going. Moving on. So there are these buffalo that this game is just a complete intertwined like knot of systems. It's just system colliding with system, but I never really see any bugs. There's very few. It's amazing how few I've
I
seen.
think I've encountered one where I was building a wall next to another wall and I got stuck between the two.
Yeah.
Just like doing your character is just like vibrating because it can't drive things out. I had to like hammer my way out.
But you were able to get out.
Yeah,
That's
I did.
good,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It
At least it
wasn't.
didn't-
So
break it.
you know, like different creatures will run into each other, and if they like spiders hate pigs, so spiders will kill pigs. Beefalo are neutral.
Is that a
They don't
Charlotte's
fight
Web
anything.
thing?
Could be.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Charlotte
This is
learned
the
her
Charlotte
lesson.
But they got along
Yeah.
in Charlotte's Web, didn't they?
Yeah,
What's that?
I'm saying they must not like that story. Like, that's not how this works.
Some pig.
And then you can play as a spider
And
character,
be-
but
You
the
can be a
pigs
spider.
don't. But the pigs
Humble.
don't like you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if there's a,
But the spiders do, because you're a spider, so
Right.
you can get stuff from the spiders, and they'll help you.
I haven't figured out how to play with that character, like not in the Don't Starve Together game.
Oh, I'm doing pretty good with them right now.
Yeah, I keep dying.
Oh.
I'm just
Because
there-
of his shitty
I'm,
walls.
I'm just putting myself out there trying to get food for us.
Yeah.
And you're all like, ooh, straw walls.
Yeah. Gotta follow my heart.
The three little pigs taught us straw walls are shitty.
I gotta see it for myself. I have to know for myself.
Spiders kill pigs. Spiders break straw walls.
True.
They're stronger.
Or they just live in them.
Oh,
But,
shit.
I don't want that either.
This game sucks.
But I mean, like, it on top of all these systems, there's just so much like experimentation you can do and cool little things that the game recognizes. So like, you had to get beefalo hair, and
I can't help
but they
it.
wouldn't let you shave them, right? What was it?
I had to wait for them to fall asleep, so I had the.
But that was just something you thought of, yeah. And then she shaved them, and then they woke up and they're all sad.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just
God.
walking around kind of droopy. Like,
Oh.
We both felt bad.
Yeah.
Did
I didn't even play the
Did you kill
game.
them and eat them then?
If you attack them, then they turn on you. So
As
and
a-
since
as a herd?
they travel in herds,
Oh.
so if you, I mean, it's basically guaranteed.
And you have straw
like,
walls, so you don't
suicide.
want that.
Exactly.
Beefalo hair walls.
Oh God.
Yeah. So your character, if you play as the default character,
The dude with the hair.
he grows a beard.
Oh
So-
yes.
So you can shave your beard, and that helps your sanity when you have this giant, like, Rip Van Winkle beard, and you shave it, and you get a boost in sanity because you feel nice and clean.
So what do you need the beefalo hair for?
To build like a winter hat, or you can build a beefalo hat that
'Cause
has
there's
horns
seasons.
on it.
So
There
you,
are
because
seasons.
you said like
Yeah.
it gives you sanity. Like I was like, so when you get you like tape it to yourself, like glue the beefalo hair all over your face to like
No,
be warm.
when you shave, you get sanity. No,
Yeah.
you guys. I mean,
That's why I'm so crazy.
Beard people.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's you're all nuts. You have beards.
Oh.
That's what the game is telling us.
I think
Yeah. So
need to shave
anti-beard
now.
sentiment in this area. Anti-beard propaganda.
I'm just jealous.
This
I
game's-
forget what we were talking about.
This game's
Beefalo
amazing
hair, of
to
course.
me.
Beefalo hair. Yeah, so there's winter, and if you have you can make a warm hat so that you don't freeze as quickly. So if you have the beefalo hair, then you can craft yourself a warm hat.
Hang out by your fire and your straw walls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't put them too close together.
This game's amazing to me because like it's such a good story of how a game has evolved over time. Even it was technically early access when it released too, right?
Yeah, and also it was a Game Jam game originally.
Yeah, so
Game Jam.
it's incredible to see. Like I always feel like it's never been huge, but from what I've heard, it's always sold very consistently.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I
it
think
just
that might be their biggest seller.
yeah,
for
like
that-
I
for
think
that
it just
studio.
it always sells basically.
And I love that studio.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're good.
I
Clay?
don't know how to pronounce it.
Clay. I think it's just Clay. I think it's
Yeah.
Clay, but it's spelled like KLEI.
KLEI.
Yeah.
That should be Clay.
That's Clay.
Yeah,
No,
I think they
it's
say Clay
definitive.
though.
She got it.
Yeah, I'm with you,
They're
but
clearly-
No, I
They're
agree with you
clearly
too.
not German.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, with all the complaints that happen about early access and such in general, like it's just nice that like here is this game that really just delivered and continues to evolve and change. Because I don't believe when I played it that it even had seasons and stuff. I mean, I died early, so maybe I just never saw them. But I don't even remember there being sanity when I played.
oh really?
I just remember I just didn't want to starve, and that's
Yeah.
about it. I didn't play too long ago. It was probably about a year or so ago.
Okay.
But I just played Don't Starve.
yeah,
Like that
I've
one.
never played Don't. I've only played Don't Starve together,
And
mostly with you.
I think it was just when it actually released, maybe. But yeah, I maybe I'm just misremembering, but I don't remember
I don't know.
a lot of these things happening. So it's really nice
Yeah,
to see that, and,
and
it
then you just kind of
constantly
find
evolves.
them, and it's like if you try something, there's a pretty good chance that there's a sort of designed reaction there.
And I love that.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very fun.
that
it's
is
like
just-
getting a present.
That's one of the best things when games do them well. It's something that video games can only do, and I think that really just makes a really good game. Like
Yeah.
I've said it before, but probably my favorite game ever is Spelunky, and
Yeah.
that's a great example of a game that does that. Like if you want to try something, those systems are going to interact.
Right,
like,
they're gonna do
really
that
like,
when you try it,
and
yeah.
you're probably going to die usually. But Don't Starve does that, and I just
Spectacular death, but
yeah, I really appreciate that in a game. And
yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot in general, just how some games do that, and I think it's important because I think as a player, you want to know, you want to have a dependable reality, and that's kind of, if that makes any sense, that's kind of the conclusion I came to, is you want to know engagement in a game. I think is largely like based on the consistency of the system reacting to you in a way that doesn't just serve the system itself. I don't know how to explain it.
And then
like,
those systems interacting with each other.
right,
as
and
well.
I think if as a player, when you try something and it doesn't work, you're just broken out of that world entirely. You're like,
Yeah.
this world is not real,
Yeah.
and it breaks you out. So I think a lot of engagement in a game comes down to what are the interactions and giving those interactions consistently, and this game does that meticulously.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Now I really want to play it.
You should.
Yeah,
Play with
I
Ingrid,
probably
'cause
should.
She's probably
I
tried to play
played
with me.
this morning. I
Nice.
played last night.
Okay,
Before I went to bed,
yeah.
I woke up this morning. I played Don't
Oh
Starve.
man,
I
she's
love
got
it.
it bad. That's another fun thing is like, I'm glad to see you binge on games the way that I haven't in a long time, but definitely
I'm
like.
Glad that you're really supportive of me neglecting the important things in life.
I mean, if you were.
I mean,
Rather than
you don't
eating
want to
in real
starve.
life.
Yeah, that's what's important. It's more important than not starving.
You got to get past day 100.
Actually, not starving.
That would be the ultimate irony if you beat the game and then
And then you just, like,
immediately
die
die
of
from starvation.
Everyone starves to death playing Don't Starve.
Yeah. That's not,
I would be okay
It's not
if that
even
was my
tragic.
legacy. Like, that's just really funny.
I found my calling in life.
if I ever want to commit suicide, that's how I'm going to go out.
Just starve yourself playing Don't Starve.
Here, have a donut.
There are donuts here for the people that.
Corona.
Or
Corona?
It's a croissant donut.
I thought it was a Corona donut.
No,
No.
that's dumb.
Corona.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that's dumb?
All right, it's getting weird.
Getting real weird.
So it's definitely some interesting stuff. I haven't really played Don't Starve, even though I love that studio and I'm aware of Don't Starve. I kind of know how it works and whatnot. I've never actually sat down to play it for anything.
I think
like
this
that.
is actually a good example of what we were talking about with Call of Duty and all that stuff building up, because the mechanics in this are pretty classic, like crafting survival stuff that for me died a long time ago. My interest in it, like I played it out in different games like Terraria or something like that. And you never played a game like this, right? Like
Not to this extent.
definitely, right? So like that's I think that's in a way that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, where I'm on Call of Duty 9 and I'm like, ugh. And then she comes up. This is the first time she's ever played it, and it's amazing, and it is, right? Like it's a really good game, and I think that's another. This is quite a good example of that. Though that said, as tired as I am of that stuff, I think this game does it so well that I can do it still. Whereas in some other games, crafting systems can be so lazy or whatever.
Yeah.
Or just
So-
like, there's no point.
So maybe that's what the game's really lost. They just lost like doing it well. Like, you know, if you're getting burnt out on a series or something, it's kind of like, oh, all right,
Oh.
are they actually doing it well,
Well,
anymore?
yeah,
like Assassin's
well,
Creed doesn't
definitely.
feel like it's doing it well anymore.
I mean, yeah, no, exactly. Well, it's about. I feel like it's just done because that's what you do. Like even in Fallout now, there's a crafting system like
Yeah.
that, you know, and it's just like it's so ubiquitous that it's hard to be interesting. And yeah, and it's usually like not done as well. Exactly, it's in there because a lot of designers know that there's a hamster wheel thing that happens to us.
Yeah.
So it's in a lot of games, and but this game doesn't. I feel like you still get the hamster wheel, but it's not a mechanism to make you buy or keep doing something else. It is the thing that you're doing. So it's not so like annoying to me. Whereas like in Fallout, for example, I think that's just sort of bolted on to make you. It's not the. It's it's just like a mechanism that's sort of used to manipulate and like extract your interest rather than actually develop your interest, I guess.
It depends on which angle you're coming at it from, I guess. But I mean, because like Fallout games always had crafting, just not to this level.
Yeah,
Like you could put add-ons on your guns, or
Definitely,
in
yeah.
old ones you actually had to repair your guns and stuff, which
Right.
actually people forget about that because it's
I love
nice
it.
to not
That was actually
have that.
one of the most important skills you had to get in those games. If you couldn't repair your own guns, you were kind of fucked.
Yeah, but I always felt like that was a chore. Like repairing my guns was a chore that I had to go complete, as opposed to just letting me play the game. Whereas
Yeah.
like I'd rather just build my gun and then I have my gun, and that's that. It's done. You know, there's a stamp on the end of that, as opposed to every X number of hours I've played this game, I've got to go back to a city and repair all my crap, and for cause reasons.
Yeah, right, because RPG and your role playing.
Yeah, and it's a waste. Like whatever. Like that. Who cares? So it's nice to hear, to break it down into what it is and make the game really about that. I mean, Minecraft's not going anywhere and that kind of stuff. People use it that way. But I feel like, from what I've seen of Don't Starve, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, kind of making it the point of the game, a lot of those big barriers of just like grindiness aren't really there.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, here's your basic set of stuff, go use it to do things and collect more stuff along the way, and then try to new combinations, new different ways to kind of interact with the game and come up with new systems to protect yourself a little bit longer, like shaving beefalo while they're sleeping.
And it's all paced brilliantly, like the way it unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, if you stop crafting new things, then you die.
Yeah.
Like, that's even part of the sanity feature, is when you make something new for the first time, then you get a little boost.
Huh.
So
Like game dev. But once you keep doing it, and if you stop crafting, you die.
Or if you stop solving puzzles in The Witness, you die. Or you just never figure out the point.
and
And die.
Like life.
Aw.
Everybody's like all sad now.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm like a sad beefalo.
You a shaved beef.
I've lost my hair and my beard.
So that's cool. So how does, just real quick before we kind of move on and maybe wrap up a little bit, so how does the Don't Starve Together work exactly? Are you playing networks or?
Yeah, we
local?
play online pretty much. Yeah, I don't even know. I think we tried to do LAN once and it didn't work. We always end up going through the internet system. But yeah, it's a fairly traditional server system where you get an interface. There's a list of public. I think there's a lot. It's a lot of public hosted servers, mostly, almost maybe even entirely. And then you get a list, and it's like, this is how many people are on it.
How many people can get into a game together?
I want to see. I think it depends on the mode. There's like survival mode where it's like every man for himself. We play the team mode where we work together, which means
we should
everybody works
explore a
together.
couple of different ones. But there's some games up that, like, over and over when we've played a few different games, they're consistently in the list. So it seems like it's kind of, it'd be fun to just sort of jump in on one and see how
Yeah, we
things
should do
work
that
out.
sometime.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of dudes sitting around a fire and be like, who are these people? Kill them!
There's Canada one. I want to join that one.
Well,
You can't come.
I mean, you won't be
No.
safe. You won't be safe from the aliens there, but.
No.
We don't have aliens.
Or the wolves. Or the
That was a good. That was a really good reference to an inside joke that she and I had for the record.
Great podcast material.
Yeah.
Let's not explain that.
I wanted to give her credit, but not explain the story.
So yeah, I was just imagining it was 2 people, but
Yeah, I was
that makes it
picturing
even
2.
You can have more.
crazier too.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
I
We
just
should all play.
the other night,
Good.
totally randomly, it showed up on one of my feeds, was a Rust raid that had gone down.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else saw that. I don't really know much
No,
about this game.
but
But it's kind of like
I've heard enough to know
I've
stuff.
played a little and I've heard a lot.
yeah, it's kind of like it's a 3D crafting game. Where
Yeah.
you start the game where you're naked and have nothing.
Yeah, it's
and
the
you have
same
to-
guy that made
Gary's Mod.
And you have to get stuff to build things and build other stuff and whatever. And so it's very descriptive, right?
Yeah.
But
Good.
so in
I mean,
this,
it's actually a fair description.
Right.
Of the game.
so pretty much, but I guess there was a server where this group of guys had just amassed a wealth of resources and
Yeah.
built like this crazy bunker out of stone and steel, and they had all these kilns and like all this crazy shit that takes forever to get all
I
this
mean,
stuff.
that game-
And they became super powerful where they had just like rocket launchers and machine guns and everything, and everybody else is running around with sticks and bows or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're just murdering everybody over
And the
and over.
dynamic of that game is get or get got. Like everybody's killing each other.
And
There's
so-
but you don't have to. But that's just the way it plays.
And
out.
so these guys had just got known for just jacking everybody on the server.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of other groups of people that were playing on the server. And somehow, like offline, they all just kind of got together and just said, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
And they had like a group of like 40 dudes band together, all their groups, to just spend like a day amassing just resources and craziness. And they basically just came together to raid this other group's place, and some dude got it on video and put it on YouTube or whatever, where basically there's this crazy steel and stone bunker with like one guy who's like still like sleeping in the place and everybody else was offline like for this.
That is awful. When you log out, your guy lays down and goes to sleep.
Yeah, and so there was only one dude like watching the fort where like the rest of the clan was off.
Yeah.
And they showed him.
He just looks out the window.
Look out the window, and you see 40 dudes like building like siege towers, like right. And he's just like, "What?" And he starts shooting at him, and like the dude who's like commenting on it is like, I'm sure he's on his phone. Like all the chat messengers would be like, "Come, wake up, get over here, get online right now." And you saw a whole bunch of people like their dudes started coming online, but this group showed up with basically rocket launchers and C4 and like end game shit, and basically just tore their whole place down.
That's such a good.
But it took them like hours. It took them like hours. Some dude he condensed it down to like a 10-minute YouTube video where basically this siege tower gets built up next to this bunker where they're basically building it up, and they built like a platform to like run over and jump into this thing. And every time they're about to go do it, one of the defenders like runs out and like C4s it and blows it all down. And so all the people fall and die, and then they all spawn back in and come running back and start building it back up. And all because fuck these guys, because they've just been PKing and just being jerks and stealing people's stuff and
PKing is
player killing, whatever. And
that is incredible.
And so it was just kind of a and when you watch the video, it all kind of looks like graphically it's pretty simplistic. It's not like a ton to it.
No.
And the fights are kind of quick and short and bloody, but it's kind of funny to just watch. Yeah, the initial reaction, especially of the one guy like looking out because you can't see his screen, but you see his character like lean out the window and like move aside, and then like pop back out the window, and, like, take a couple shots and like pop back, and the dude who's commenting is like in ghost mode. He could float, and he's like he could see inside, and he's like, I'm sure this dude's just frantically calling everybody he knows right now. And it's like what
it's like phone in left hand, mouse in right hand, like
guys.
Yeah, the Mongols are at the gate, like just this sea of people coming, like building up towers like across the way, and just launching and just heaving rockets into this. Which I don't know enough about the game to do it, but the dudes who are commenting, I was like, that takes a long time to get enough materials and skills to build like rocket launchers, and these dudes are just launching them like they're nothing. They just got a ton of them, and they just start blasting things down, and the dudes are trying to build it back up, and they're just blasting more down.
Yeah, we're watching this after.
Yeah, we're watching this after.
I don't know if it's going to live up to what I just described. I think it's more interesting. I don't think it can. I think it's more interesting just as...
Can you record you just saying that? We'll watch it.
Well, this is being recorded.
Oh, hey.
We need a video feed.
Is that what all these microphones do?
Yeah, I hear that game definitely brings out the worst in people, but I'm excited that when faced with troubles, that people ultimately will band together.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the most interesting thing. That's what got me to watch the video. Is people posted it, and people were just like, no, watch this clan just get their asses handed to them and all their shit taken because they're jerks.
Yeah.
And these people that were just getting destroyed by them in their individual groups of 3 or 4 now have all banded together to mass an army.
See, when I play
and
these
just
games,
storm these
I just
bastards.
go play on a different server. And it's like, well, those guys are assholes. Disconnect, try another server.
Right.
I don't know why people stick around for that shit.
For this.
Yeah.
To make sure they get their comeuppance.
I mean, if I knew it was going to go there, I'd stick around too, but... Never.
It'd be 40 days of misery first, though.
And that's the end of that story. Is the ultimate perfect. What are you gonna do now?
Yeah. Now you get to play the game. Yeah, and I'm sure half of that clan is just offline, like eating dinner with their kids or something. And come back to their computers, and be like, Jerry, what the fuck happened? He's like, dude, I was calling you.
God damn it, Jerry.
God damn it, Jerry.
Fucking Jerry.
He gets a call at a dad gets a call at dinner, like picks up the phone. He's like, my God. I gotta
go. But Dad, you said you were going to take me to ballet. No, it's no time. Can't give this sort of 1,000 truths to a noob.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's great that these games can have those interactions. That's where a lot of people are pointing to. That's when VR really is going to blow up, is when the first game that really has this kind of engagement has these kind of stories and they happen in VR. That's when people are going to be like, I'm missing out. I got to get into this.
I think we've got a head start on it. It already exists in non-VR, so that's good. But I think it'll be a while still before we get a full experience like that in VR.
I mean, the good news is that a lot of very smart people are working on this exact thing right now, trying to make it as smooth and seamless as possible. It's still a ways out before you're going to have, your World of Warcraft in VR to that level that people kind of think of what, the dream of VR being going on here.
I just wish I was a kid and VR was starting, because it's just like, man, being in that world. Now it's like I can't fully like enter that world. Like I'm always in the back of my mind, I'm like, you didn't pay your rent yet. And dishes back there, and I'm like, no, shut up! I'm in this world. I'm in the magic world. And when you're a kid, you can just go in and you're just like, yeah, I'm in the magic world completely. And I don't know that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's what NES was. And Super Nintendo was still kind of.
I mean, I think the NFL is probably pretty similar.
But
feeling.
I mean, but we had to use our imaginations instead of actually having all the stuff actually appear in front of us.
Imagination.
We're better for it.
Except there's a television in front of you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it didn't stop us from playing stupid shit in the woods and stuff as little kids and
that's true.
Make up games and do stuff.
I'm sure that'll still happen.
None of that's going away. Yeah, none of that's going away. But it is kind of interesting in a sense. You're like, why would you go outside? Right? Why would you go outside and play with sticks when I can go fly around on a dragon?
I mean, from a kid's perspective, exactly.
I mean, in Rust you start with sticks, so
yeah,
that's fun.
Outside Simulator.
Yeah,
2016.
Why do I need to go outside? I got sticks here. I'm going to build a rocket launcher.
If they just go on Google Maps, find the forest behind their house, and then go into first-person mode and play in it.
Build a little virtual fort instead of going outside and building a fucking
build
fort.
Build a siege tower to their second-story window.
But how are they going to go drink beers by a fire in VR?
Part of growing up.
That's true.
Quote, camping.
Yeah. But yeah, it is crazy because, a lot of those reaction videos now is people showing people who are 60-something VR for the first time and having their minds blown where it's it's not that much different.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You're like, yeah, I expected this.
Yeah.
They were just terrible people.
Probably it.
Well, you clearly are.
Oh, hey, I have a beard.
I'll take that back.
We're just insane, that's all.
Unless you got a beard.
Sorry, my mic was blocking my beard.
So, alright. I don't know. Before we kind of clear out, you played a whole bunch of stuff recently. Is there anything specifically that you want to kind of talk about and hit before we kind of wrap her up?
Nah. I mean, yeah, you can look at the list.
I'm looking at this list. I want Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time. Actually, that's the game I keep saying you and I should. We should get that in the Steam sale. Okay.
No, yeah, it'll probably be on there.
Yeah, it will be.
It's interesting. I've only played an hour or two. My girlfriend and I played.
Yeah.
It's tough.
How do you guys fight? Do you guys argue?
No, we were pretty good about it because I talked to Mark Zorn about it, and he said he had no such luck. It didn't go too well.
That's another interesting thing about playing with your girlfriend. I feel like your larger relationship dynamics still play out in this.
Oh yeah,
and it's
I can
really
imagine.
funny.
Yeah, we actually did pretty well. I was glad.
That's good.
Yeah. That's why I was interested in how you guys were playing Don't Starve too, because I agree with that statement. But it's hilarious that she's just like, Greg, stop building straw walls. Get better at games. Stop being an idiot.
The nice thing about Lovers in Dangerous Space Time, and I've played it with Lisa as well, and it went well.
Good.
She digs it in a big way. She really likes it. We haven't played it recently, but maybe tomorrow when we get some time to chill.
Yeah.
But we've played through a system or two, so we've played more than just the first level.
Yeah.
She's definitely into it. She definitely digs it. She gets it.
I think we got to the second one, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little further.
And I played with another buddy of mine who's a really good gamer as well.
You guys were lovers in a dangerous.
It's weird. It is a weird title to bring up with because you default to wanting to say you want to play lovers. But we started calling it Dangerous Space Time. So you want to play Dangerous Space Time because it's just weird. It's just awkward to say that. It's not like it's bad, but it's just a weird thing to say.
You mean the video game? Or what are you asking me right now?
Finally, I've been waiting.
So
the game.
John-
Yeah, let's play the game.
John, you want to play Lovers?
yes, I do.
All right.
So it's I thought it's a phenomenal couch co-op game, and the Asteroid Base guys are really cool. The dudes who made it, great couch co-op, and I feel like since it's so immediate, it's even more than I don't know, something like Don't Starve is probably even more. It's more complicated, you know, or trying to play like Rust. Like forget, Lisa would never play Rust. It's super. Since it's all 2D and it's all kind of constrained to your ship. Mm-hmm. There's no like you're splitting up and going different places in the world, and you have to keep track of where each other is. You're always together. You're always within 2 seconds run of the other person,
and that's why you're lovers.
And you don't have to. You don't have to protect a specific person because you're always just protecting the ship.
Yeah.
You're totally in it together. Like it's not like, oh, you're the wizard and I need to protect you because I'm the tank, and like I need to shield you from damage, kind of stuff. You're both on equal playing field, in it together to protect one specific thing together. It's not one of you is more important than the other. It's not. It's none of that. You really have to work together. You have to work together to make anything happen because at the end of the day, the way that the game works for anybody who doesn't know is you have to play two little characters within a 2D ship, and you have to go fly it through space. And you can only control one station of the ship at a time with each character. So one person is flying the ship, while the other person is manning the shields or the guns in a specific direction or whatever. And if you get into a big fight, you both have to run around to the different gun stations and blast in different directions and move the shields around and protect yourself that way. But you literally can't play the game by yourself. You need another person to play it. Otherwise, it's unplayable. Which I don't know how that's working for them in terms of straight up sales, because it's kind of like that kind of cuts off a bunch of people. I guess you can actually play the game one player, but the game really shines with two people.
Can you play online, or can you... Yeah, I think you can, right?
I think it's couch co-op only.
Oh, really?
And that's where it really shines. I think you really want to play it couch co-op.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
sitting
right next to the
lots of
person you're playing
communication needs to happen, for sure.
Oh, lots of communication, lots of, you go get the shields, why are you on the other station?
We're on fire! Shut up and drive!
Stop driving and get a gun! Like, we're dying here!
Yeah, a thing that came up that was really interesting at first, like when you're first going, it's easier. Like you really want to define your roles in a way because you're just like, okay, yeah, like Aubrey wasn't doing so great at driving. She's like, you drive. I'm like, okay, so I'm doing great at driving. She's doing great at shielding. But then when shit hits the fan, you really cannot define your roles.
Yeah, you have to just grab whatever's open.
Yeah, like
because if you're
you have
using
to run from gun to shield to gun to drive to gun to shield, like
if you're in the guns on like the left side of the ship and almost all the enemies on the left side of the ship, and then a big guy spawns on the right, you can't just ditch your gun and run over to the other gun. Somebody else needs to get on that gun.
Yeah,
and they need to get there now. Stop fucking around with the shields.
Lisa.
But she says the same shit to me or whatever.
Right.
So it goes both ways like the whole time, and it leads to some really fun moments.
Yeah, like you're constantly rotating.
But then also sometimes you but you get into that, and it's really satisfying sometimes when you actually fall into a groove where you're on one side blasting the stuff and shit appears to the right side and they run over and jump on the gun where you don't have to yell at them. And you're just like, yeah, this is sweet.
Yeah.
And then it's like the second the fight's over, like you go grab the shields and they jump on the engines and they start flying the ship and you don't got to say nothing.
Yeah.
When you kind of fall into that groove and you're kind of just like, it like
that's
feels
exactly
really,
what I want.
it feels really good.
It
when that
was
happens.
really good. Yeah, we
and still,
that.
There's always the moments of chaos here and there, but when you get those moments of kind of peace under fire where you both kind of like you're on the same page, like that game does it better than almost any game that I've played.
You're both just getting shit done.
And neither of you are fucking around or are useless or like they're not pulling their weight as long as they're doing their stuff, like you're in it together. So it's kind of I feel like it's really kind of a perfect couch co-op, and they've been working on this for a long time. And I remember
that game.
I played it in demo, like I want to say 2 years ago. And
it's been more like 4 or 5 years. I want to say that.
And the first time I saw it and played it, I was just like, "This is brilliant! Like I wish I made this." Kind of.
Yeah, that's why I was like, "This is." You're like, "Fuck!"
It's like this is. It's such a simple idea, but they've really polished it and honed it and tightened it and made it so it kind of makes sense. And there's some cool unlockables and the other thing of like upgrading.
That was cool too.
Upgrading your guns and your different stations. Like as you go along, you'll get like little gems, and like it's like, I got a power gem. Well, you can put it in any of your guns. You can put it in your super weapon. You can put it in your engines, or you can put it on your shields. And depending which one you put it on, it does different stuff. and there's different combinations of them as well, and you kind of fall into ones that you like or whatever. I remember one time I put like the metal one on one of the guns, which gives you a big like chain mace that you swing around.
Oh, yeah.
But Lisa hates that,
Yeah.
and she's just like, oh damn it, did you make that one up? Or you're using that, like if anything happens over there, you're using that one. But it's like she likes the power ones on the cannons, and I'm like, these are too slow. Like, but it's like, no, fine, that's yours now. but then sometimes you just gotta kind of do your stuff. But it's
hers guns.
yeah, right. She said his and hers guns.
Yeah.
But it's cool because it gives you like that little bit of upgrading your ship and kind of deciding what to do with the pieces together kind of thing. And sometimes you're just like, yeah, I'm just doing this and I'm just gonna make it happen. And it makes the game plays so different depending on how you upgrade your ship, and it's kind of cool. And then once you beat a system, it pops all your upgrades off and you start over. So there's only so much you can do. Like at a certain point, your ship is just kind of maximally upgraded for whatever it is, and then once you've kind of beaten a boss, it pops those off and you start over.
Basically, start a new game.
But in like a new system, and each
Right.
level in a system has its own kind of twist. So they're all procedurally generated. So if you play a level and you die, when you go back in to play the level, the map will be different.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah,
Nice.
The map will be different.
You not died?
I think we died right when we stopped playing, pretty much.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
guys
we've
both
only-
walked away bitter. It's like, I told you to get on that gun.
It's all your fault.
You hit the gun on the
Should've drove
engines.
better.
You drove it right into the wall. Actually, at one point, there's a thing. There's a point at which sometimes when you beat like a little boss area or like free these little bunnies, you have to save all these little space bunnies.
Oh, yeah.
It's all very kind of cutesy, and it's
adorable.
kind of almost like at a certain point it's kind of like grit your teeth cutesy, but sometimes it's all whatever. It's adorable.
But you're
People are
lovers.
fine
It's
with
great.
it. Yeah.
It's lovers.
It's all very cutesy. You save their little bunnies, and then sometimes, like a lot of times, it'll spawn a lot of enemies or some crazy stuff, and every once in a while, it'll spawn like a ticking time bomb that gives you like 5-second head start, and then it blows up in every direction, and you have to get away from it as fast as you can. And the first time that happened, Lisa jumped on the engines and drove right into it and got us killed. And I was
detonate it?
just like, throw my controller. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And she's like, I didn't know.
And then you go towards explosions.
Well, yeah, because she just like, I don't know what it
The
was or
explosion
whatever.
wouldn't be expecting that, so...
I thought I would take it unawares.
I'm glad you told that story, so I don't do that later.
Yeah, so if you see the little ticking bomb go doot
I'll
doot
still do
doot, expanding green circle means bad.
Yeah.
Get away from because it doesn't really signal itself super well as like this is
As
going
a
to kill
bomb,
you.
yeah.
But it starts taking. It doesn't kill you instantly. It takes damage off very quickly. Gives you a chance to get away, but not when you're in the center of it. Lisa. But yeah, no, it's a super fun game to play couch co-op. I kind of love the simplicity that leads to complexity and the replayability of it.
Yeah,
I
we
feel
will definitely play this week.
Certainly,
Playing with
absolutely
her,
one of a kind.
ton of fun, and playing with my other buddy who's like really good at games as well.
Yeah,
like
love it.
we just you get into spots where we just kind of click and we're just crushing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it just feels it's like the game's just right there for it. Like you can get your shit done, and it really rewards you.
It doesn't sort of like fall off either way, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. You could it kind of it rises to your level, right?
Yeah,
and it gives you the
I would expect
it
that.
gives you the opportunity to do some great stuff if you kind of can communicate. But the one story I love to tell about this game is one of the first times I had seen it demoed up in Toronto, where these guys are from, I believe. That's where I always see them, but I also see them like IndieCade and what have you. They've got a fan. They've got a little fan that follows them around apparently, because this is what they told me is that she shows up like wherever they're demoing this stuff.
Oh, God.
And she's a young girl. I've had to guess she's probably like 10 or 11, but she really knows how to play the game, and like to the point where I was playing. I was my turn to demo. I pick up a controller. This other woman standing next to me. She picks up a controller. We start playing. This girl comes in between us, and she's just like, "No! Get on the shields. What are you doing? Get on. No, you should get on the shields. You're going the wrong way. They're over there. See the map there? They're over there." And we're just like, okay, whatever. And to the point where she's like, give me that. And she took the controller from the girl I was playing with, and I was playing with her, and she was just giving me orders. She's just like, all right, I'm gonna fly this way. You get on the shield. You point it this way. And I'm just like,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Like, yes, ma'am. I will do what you seem to know what you're doing here. And the woman I'm playing with is standing there, just like, what just happened?
She didn't even walk away.
She's like watching, like, okay, just like this girl just took my controller, and now she's barking orders at me. And the dudes who made the game were like, see who's in control here? I'm like, you're absolutely right. And we played like a level that, like, she follows him around, and she's got many hours under her belt. But it's just kind of funny where she knows what's happening. You fall into it. It's a great little co-op thing to. I'm sure certain people get pissed at each other, but I think generally the game is set up in such a way where it's hard to get mad at each other unless one person really screws up badly and the other person's a jerk. Like, really, like, even when you screw up that bad, it's like, okay, whatever, we lost 5 minutes of progress. We'll just fire this back up and play. And now the map will be different. It won't be the same thing, Now it'll be another experience, so whatever. So yeah, definitely a really good one. I like it a lot. And it looks like it's on sale right now for $10.
Nice. How much is it normally?
That's like $40.
15?
Yeah.
It's normally 15.
At the time of this recording, the Canadian dollar is not strong.
You're bad.
Yes, with real money.
Yeah.
And video games are cool. Now I want to play that and Don't Starve and The Witness and talk about a lot of good things here today.
That's what I was playing on Sunday.
Yeah, when you were playing it and I saw it, I thought, whatever.
Yeah.
But you look like you're thinking really hard about this game. I don't want to put myself through that. But
you were trying to do your own work.
it sounds interesting.
You
now.
looked over and he's gritting his teeth and a vein's popping in his forehead, and you're just like, I'm just going to leave that alone. Oh, that sounds good. But yeah, now I want to go home and play some more Lovers.
You want to play some Lovers, John?
Yes, I do.
You want to play Lovers with me?
Absolutely.
We gotta shut this down fast.
I gotta get some stuff done anyway. Yeah. But yes. Anything else we want to get into before we wrap it up? No. No? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
It was fun.
Go to places.
All off my chest.
Video games.
Yeah, it sounds like some good stuff coming out. I'm definitely intrigued to play the new XCOM since I really loved the other one.
Firewatch was next week.
Yeah, Firewatch is the next
looks
one.
really cool. I really like what they did with the aesthetic style of that game, and they've done many a post about how they achieved that.
Yeah, they've been really good. They do really good devlog posts.
Yeah, about how they achieved that specific look using shaders and different image effects and what have you.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was made in Unity.
Yes, it was. So was Lovers in Dangerous Space Time. And they've also done good blog posts about how they achieved kind of the very clean neon style of the game.
Cool.
Using, basic sprites and particle systems and a little bit of transparency magic. There's a really good one on Gama Sutra that really goes through step by step of like recreating one of the enemies. Because the game has a very consistent, clean style. It's very easy to read and see what's up. And it kind of looks pretty cool.
Unity. Yeah.
I wonder if their other ones were made in it as well. I thought they had their own engine at one point. The Clay guys.
I have no idea.
They have Invisible Ink and what's
Mark of the Ninja.
Yes. Okay.
If Mark of the Ninja was made in Unity, I want that project so bad.
I might be wrong, but I think it is.
I don't know. That's worth checking out.
Yeah.
But all right, I think that'll do us for today. Yeah, lots of cool stuff coming up around the game space. Coming up, we're starting workshops next week, and we just had a game jam. We made 6 games in 48 hours. Probably could have spent a lot of time talking about that today, but we were talking about playing games today.
We as a Twitch, because none of us were able to make that, I believe. Ingrid, did you make it?
Nope.
Not this time. Not this time, but we had a pretty good turnout for the Global Game Jam. Made 6 games in 48 hours. Made some cool stuff. Probably talk about that next time as we tweak and polish a little bit of it. I've done about another hour of work on the game after the fact, as you always want to do. It's like, I came so close over the weekend. I just want to fix this one thing that's bugging me. So we've actually fixed a couple of things. So more to come on that. And yeah, come check us out, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Take care.